or why? Let's ride.
What are you doing?
And of course, in the spirit of Halloween, a lot of us had to dress up. As you can see, I've teased it on multiple Discords. I'm Shrek for Halloween. We got a Harry Potter, we got a Shane Bowen, and we got a John Welch here for Halloween this episode.
Scary being in my own head.
You're a floating head. Anyway, welcome to Four Square Sports episode number 21, All In. And the reason why it's called all that is because we are all in for Halloween. Most of us are dressed up for the occasion. I don't have the green face paint yet. I'm going to put the green face paint on. And the reason why is because I was told that paint would dry off at the end of this episode. So I'm not going to do it and look like I'm bleeding green across my face. So I'm taking precaution. Anyways, Matt Sirianni as Shrek. Kevin Zelkovs as Shane Bowen. Alec Nava as Harry Potter. And John Welch as John Welch. How y'all doing?
Feeling good. And yes, I am Shane Bowen this week. So yeah, drop 8 in coverage, send 3. Ooh.
Oh my god. Oh my god, this is great. I've never been
the ghost of Shane Bowen passed. Is that what that was? I thought it was Halloween, not Christmas.
It was.
Exactly. You got it, John.
Oh my god. All right, we are dressed up. We're ready to go. And unfortunately, there's no other place to begin this episode than with the NBA. Why? Because on Thursday, we were given an absolute bombshell of an FBI investigation. So on Thursday, NBA player Terry Rozier, NBA coach Chauncey Billups, and former NBA player and coach Damon Jones were arrested along with 30 other individuals, a part of 2 allegations. One being nothing but bet, which is a basketball-related scandal, and then some poker-related bet that has to do with rigged poker games. So for those of you who want to know what those allegations are, for me to rehash it, nothing but bet was an allegation where players like Terry Rozier specifically were coming in and out of games to underperform in assists, underperform in points, underperform in rebounds, underperform in steals, you name it, so he can hit his bets. One classic example of this was in 2023 when Rozier took himself out of a game after 9.5 minutes so he can hit on every single under bet prop that was his. And after he came out of the game that his teammates apparently knew about, the folks that he was with counted their cash. Damon Jones was involved in this investigation as well. And apparently there was insider information about LeBron James' injury status for a certain game. And he told people bet the Milwaukee Bucks and bet against the Lakers that game. And then there was the poker bet, the poker games allegation, which is absolutely insane, which for those of you who want to know, you might want to hear this. X-ray poker tables, fixed shuffling machines, X-ray glasses that bouncers had on for the people who were playing alongside NBA players. The people who were playing alongside these famous athletes were getting rigged because they lost millions and tens of millions of dollars in this poker scandal alone. The NBA one is actually kind of messed up, but this is kind of messed up too. Charges have not been proven yet, but over $7 million have been lost in these 2 investigations combined. And over 34 arrests have been made, including crime families like the Gambinos. And when the FBI has to step in, you know you're in absolute trouble. And this all happens as soon as the NBA season tipped off. I was going to get into NBA action, but this is way bigger than NBA action. This is legal action. So I'm going to get into John here first. John, when you first heard this madness, what do you think is going to be the repercussions of all this?
Well, when I first heard this, I went to our chat to post it, and Alex had beat me by 2 minutes, so I was kind of mad about that. But not really.
You're welcome.
Listen, This is a very complex scheme, and we live in a conspiracy theory world. Everything has been a conspiracy theory since COVID. I have a
Yeah.
conspiracy theory for you, and the underlying connection is Billy Napier, not Billy Napier. Excuse me, Rick Pitino.
Ooh.
Um, yeah. So Chauncey Billups played for the Celtics. Um,
Patino coached him.
Rozier played at Louisville. So there's a really interesting connection there, especially with the Italian mob involved.
Right.
So it'll be really, really interesting. I'm waiting for the next shoe to drop, honestly, because this isn't the last we've heard or seen of this whole episode, as far as I'm concerned.
100%. Like, they're still investigating. Like, they've been investigating these cases for a couple of years now, and
Yeah,
they literally.
the announcement were the arrests, like the investigation is ongoing.
Yeah, like the arrest took a couple years to figure out. The investigation is still ongoing, as John mentioned. There's still a whole bunch of evidence, and like the FBI said, this is just the tip of the iceberg. There's still a whole lot more that has to be found out, and I can only imagine the NBA is at the epicenter of all this in a very negative way. Now, Alec, I'm going to come to you on this one. So we mentioned the connection between Rozier and Chauncey Billups and Rick Pitino, of all people, getting involved in this. You mentioned the LeBron James aspect of it all in our chat. When it comes to LeBron and maybe even other players, like I know Kevin Garnett was mentioned, what implications do you think this could have for the NBA, which is already in dire strength right now?
For the NBA, it represents an entire year's worth of the buildup of what was inevitably going to happen. It was not going to go away no matter how many players got banned by Adam Silver. We saw Malik Beasley. We saw Jonte Porter, who, by the way, was threatened by these very same people to give in. And if this issue keeps going, you'll see more Roziers, more Porters, and even more Beasleys. These incidents were not commonplace back in the day. Players are not able to easily accrue large gambling debts, putting them at the risk of shakedowns. But the relationship between increased betting exposure and increased gambling scandals is cause and effect. Those addicts still existed before the partnership, but when it rains, it pours. They bent the knee to. It's the NBA who bent the knee to Las Vegas. Rozier's not blameless, but he's merely a symptom of this gambling pandemic. Same thing with Billups and Jones, for how it is. Gambling companies are powerful, but given that Adam Silver has to comply with the government on this matter, here's the message. It's never too late to backtrack on a stance. Australia has had a longer history of legalized sports betting, but they're fighting for the change to have gambling ads be restricted. Because in the United States and by extension Canada, they're all over the place.
Yeah, that's actually kind of amazing. The connection, like the United States has had issues with gambling for years, and it's not even just the last 5 years. I can tell you, I think over 20 plus athletes have been banned or suspended from their sport since 2019, and this involves the NBA, the NFL, the NHL, and even the MLB. Like we've seen players gamble on their teams, and obviously, who could forget the Pete Rose thing? Who could forget Pete Rose? And then for other examples, Paul Hornung in 1963 gambled, banned from the NFL for a year. Art Schlichter of the Colts gambled, banned from the NFL for life. And you mentioned DeJounte Porter. You mentioned Malik Beasley. Like there's so many, like even a bunch of NFL examples besides the two that I mentioned. Those are just some. Now I remember a time when I think it was 2010, and we just talked about this before we even came on. Chris Christie, who was the governor of New Jersey at the time in 2010, challenged the gambling industry to have sports betting legalized in New Jersey when it wasn't supposed to be. Why is this important? Because it opened the door for other states across the country to challenge this. Because at the time, it was Nevada that was the main gambling state. If you wanted to bet big time, you had to go to Vegas. But New Jersey, that domino fell, and then a bunch of other dominoes fell along the way. And now pretty much a bunch of other states, I guess Texas isn't one of them, according to Kev, but most states are able to bet, and they've legalized sports betting and gambling. And now look at what's happened. Now, Kevin, I mentioned this before. The inmates have run the asylum in the NBA. And I think this is a testament to what you were going to expect to happen, especially when athletes and coaches and even politicians are promoting this. This is only a small example of what's coming. Like, do you think the NBA might have a bad PR to this? And, like, if so, what do you think will happen to the college implications? Do you think we'll see more college stuff like this as well?
I mean, absolutely, this is going to be bad PR. I mean, like you look at a commissioner like Adam Silver, who only until like last year, maybe a couple of years ago, I think we would have all agreed that Adam Silver was probably the best commissioner when it comes to any sport. He's up there with with the likes of Gary Bettman and all that. But he's gone from like the best to now he's below Rob Manfred as being like the worst currently because of this whole scandal and investigation going on. And like also like he had like a little bit of a short interview yesterday when the Celtics and Knicks were playing, and he basically was saying like how like the NBA conducted their own investigation after it was brought to their attention that Rozier was going under his prop bets and all that, and then they determined that there wasn't enough insufficient evidence to have to do anything for Rozier, and now the FBI investigated it, and obviously they found something on him and Billups and Jones, and so I'm like. Adam Silver, now we were hearing about this. He has to have a briefing with the U.S. Congress about it. Adam Silver does. So it begs the question, like, how long has this been going on? If this is just one investigation, who knows that like other athletes or other the referee situation back then with Bill Donaghy as well.
Yes, that's right.
You can draw those conclusions as well. And also, like, I know this is not NBA related, but an official in college just got suspended for like a couple of bad calls in like an SEC football game. So like how like sports have changed. Like what is going on in the world of sports right now? Where is the like integrity? Where is the truthfulness in like sports? Like I get like everybody is so like gung ho on this guy's cheating or this guy's gambling or stuff like that. I know they like make like accusations, but after like stuff like this. And conspiracy theories and all that, I might be inclined to maybe he's got a point because stuff like this just doesn't happen. Like this whole investigation and scandal is something you see straight out of a heist movie. Yeah, and I would be too mad if like ESPN did like a 30 for 30 on it because this is like pure entertainment if you're like not involved because what Chauncey Billups, Damon Jones, and Terry Rozier are doing, like they are SOL when you know that the FBI is getting involved. And like you talk about the college aspect of it all, and like I hope it doesn't happen in like the college sense because these are just kids like playing to try to get themselves into like a professional league, like NBA, NFL, what have you. Like we're already talking about like the drama about like like the NIL money and like the transfer portals.
Yeah,
I don't think we need to like get into like gambling and betting and all that in the college sense. Because right now, if I were a betting man, which I'm not, if I were betting on any NBA game, I wouldn't be betting on a single NBA game right now. If I was doing a wager, how could you like with what's going on right now? Like I wouldn't even touch that with a 10-foot pole as far as I can throw it. So like yeah, definitely bad PR. NBA is in a dark state right now, and it's really serious. And Chauncey Billups, Damon Jones, and Terry Rozier, I mean like. They better hope that like they get like a short prison sentence or something because right now if the FBI's on you, you're in deep.
Now, one word, I think this is the word of the day: integrity. Yeah, that is the word of the day, and that's the word that sports should have: integrity. Mm-hmm. Because if you're playing and underperforming just to benefit you and not your team and not the fans, then that obviously just makes you a detriment to the sport and the profession and everything that stands for the NBA. Now, one thing I want to mention, and yeah, John,
I just wanted to ask you guys where your head's at as far as Adam getting fired. He's been really soft on a lot of different issues. He was super soft on this one. I think that short interview didn't do anything to help him, and this is going to be a shadow hanging over his legacy until he gets fired or retires.
I'm going to start off by saying this. I wouldn't be surprised if fans cry foul and players cry foul and Congress cries foul about Adam Silver because, like I mentioned before, the players have too much power. And when you are the owner of your league, the owner of your business, and you're letting the employees get too much leeway, you have to be ousted. And someone has to put their foot down and say, okay, this isn't right. Things need to change. Kevin, you want to go next?
Yeah, I mean to answer John's question, like absolutely, I wouldn't be shocked if like the NBA or whoever the higher up stepped in and said like Adam Silver needs to go after this sort of thing. This sort of thing cannot happen, and I don't think it should. There should be sanctions or whatever to make sure that this kind of thing never happens again, because we understand like how there's like sports betting and gambling apps advertised in everyone's faces everywhere, not just the NBA, just like NFL, college, you name it. And like this is just like one of those cases where like you have to make sure that everything is like under control, like security wise and all that. And like you can't let your players be doing stupid like gambling and crimes like this. Like I absolutely, I think Silver is probably on his hot seat. I think he should be like nervous and uncomfortable after like hearing the news that he has to go with a briefing for U.S. Congress, because I think like this is unacceptable.
Alec, you want to spill your piece about this?
For if everything goes the way it is at this current rate, and if the allegations are proven to be true, then we could realistically see Adam Silver being forced to resign from his post as commissioner of the NBA.
Possible.
There's a strong likelihood that happens. Remember, the NBA is the only league among the four major North American professional sports that is player driven. Not the NFL, not the NHL, not the MLB. The NBA is the only league where players have the majority of the power. They have most of the influence in this league. And if they're not happy with the direction of where it's headed, then we could be seeing significant changes over the higher-ups.
And I think that change needs to happen. Now, one last thing I want to get into, and I brought this up with the college ranks. I did see on the Pat McAfee show, I think it was yesterday or on Thursday, that the NCAA has allowed Division 1, 2, and 3 students to place bets. And this comes immediately after this scandal was announced. You're only influencing bad intentions. That's what you're doing.
Well, this isn't the only scandal that the NBA has had. You have the Tim Donaghy scandal where he was throwing calls for gambling purposes too. So the NBA is in a league of its own when it comes to scandals. And to Kevin's point, there's an entire production company that's contracted by Netflix to produce these kind of documentaries. So I would not be surprised at all if they took the ball and ran with it as far as documenting this investigation.
Not to mention the whole ordeal between the Clippers and Kawhi Leonard on the earlier scandal.
Right. That's right.
Right. Yeah.
Forgot about that one. That was earlier in the year.
Mm-hmm.
So now everything's starting to tie in.
Yeah.
If you're making second-hand profit outside of the NBA, if you're gambling, clearly there's too much going on here.
Mm-hmm.
And right now, the NBA needs to fix something. And it should be really interesting to see what happens in that meeting with Congress that Adam Silver has to go through. I think a change has to be made because this can't continue. And not only to mention, go ahead.
He's a commissioner that's not commissioning. You have all this egg on the NBA's face, and it's clear that more and more that it's a player-driven, player-run league. And so you have to bring in somebody, whether it's appearance or not, that is actually going to assume a little bit more control and tighten things up.
Absolutely. And I think that when you look at the grand scheme of things, maybe a change is needed because the NBA ratings were going down as it is. If you've looked at the ratings the last 5 years, ratings have tanked. And this is basically ever since they came out of the bubble and fans were able to come back to NBA games. The ratings have not been good. I don't have them right in front of me, but I can tell based on like previous shows that I've seen, MLB is getting more viewers than the NBA. And who would have thought that 5-6 years ago? So
now to the gambling point, what's fascinating to me is on ESPN when the story broke, Michael Greenberg, who is probably one of the most highly rated and most integral sports journalist of our time, was going into it and talking about the story and kind of analyzing. And right below him, you have that bar that goes across the bottom of the
Yeah.
screen, and it was ESPN gambling was advertising right below. So
Yeah.
gambling is rampant, and now it's legal. People lose lots and lots of money every year. So it's definitely an issue. And the fact that the mafia is involved is no surprise.
Yeah. And there could be claims from those involved that, oh, they didn't know what they were doing. Well, if you didn't know what you were doing, then why would you sign up for this to begin with? Why would you do this if you didn't know?
X-ray glasses, X-ray tables. At one point, there was a poker game where only the pros were losing. Come on, man.
Come on. I mean, seriously, like it's not good, not good whatsoever.
Also,
Yeah.
also to bring one thing up real quick, now that this whole thing has surfaced, I think I shared it with you guys like in our chat before we recorded. But this whole investigation's going on about the gambling and whatnot, and so we're supposed to believe that what happened in the NBA lottery was happening by chance. That
Yes.
the Mavericks got the number 1 pick instead of the Wizards,
Yes.
who are the worst in the league. So now we're going to go back to that too and see if there's some foul play there.
That's actually a very valid point. Yeah.
Dude, Luigi won by doing absolutely nothing. I've said it before and I'll say it again. Nico Harrison is the luckiest SOB in the NBA.
Mm-hmm. Big
Mhm.
time.
Whether it's the FBI or some sort of gaming commission or both, that come in and do that, it's going to have to be some sort of special investigation, because at this point, no rock is going to be left unturned.
Oh yeah. No. The FBI, when the FBI steps in, you know that they're going to find out everything about everything.
Mm-hmm.
And that's going to be damning for the NBA, their fans, their players, their coaches, and their owners.
I mean, this is Ocean's 15.
Wow.
Yeah, it's literally out of a heist movie.
Yeah.
Out of a heist movie. And like, oh my God. I heard about the X-ray glasses. The X-ray glass, I heard like that's something straight out of Austin Powers.
Or James Bond, yeah.
Or James Bond.
But
Crazy.
the X-ray tables are crazy.
I've never heard of that in my life.
Me neither. That's the first time you ever heard of X-ray. You know what?
Oh God.
Accio. Dang it, the light didn't come on, but just to summon evidence. Yes, I still have the one. Let's try again. Accio.
There you go.
There it is.
Oh my God. Okay. There's so much evidence that has yet to come out. When that comes out, I can only imagine that we're going to be one of the first people that reacts to this, because this is absolutely insane. Anyway, on a more positive note, well, not so positive note, because this is going against John here. We're going to get into the World Series. Blue Jays, Dodgers, game 1 last night, 11-4 Blue Jays. They were running amok. They hammered Blake Snell, game 1 Toronto did, in front of their home fans. And this is the team that's looking for their first World Series win since 1993. The Dodgers are looking to repeat as champions, which would be the first time since the 99-2000 New York Yankees did it. And the Dodgers came out into Toronto. Fans were going crazy. But how did Toronto get here? Well, we had a game 7 where the Mariners flew into Toronto. They were up 3-1. And then George Springer, who was banged up the game before, came and hit a 3-run home run. Sorry, John. And sorry to those at KX being in the Seattle area. We apologize for that. But so far, first game, Toronto's off to a good start. But game 2 is going to be Kevin Gausman versus Yoshinobu Yamamoto for game 2. This playoffs has been really good. Now, one thing I want to get into before we get into the World Series reactions and everything for game 1, I'm hoping to God the Dodgers lose. Because for those of you who are unaware, there is a CBA due at the end of 2026, meaning 2027. And it's all going to come down to, cap suggestions, salary floor suggestions, you name it, all about the financial aspect of baseball. And this is Rob Manfred's last time to negotiate a CBA as commissioner, and then 2028, 2029, he's out. And for those of you who don't know, the Los Angeles Dodgers have been doing a bunch of deferred payments with people like Ohtani and Freddie Freeman and Mookie Betts. and even to an extent, Roki Sasaki, who the Dodgers got and sold from the Toronto Blue Jays, which is why this series is even more personal. But from an MLB standpoint, I'm going to come to John. When it comes to the MLB and the World Series, how much is riding on this World Series when it comes to CBA, future of the sport, you name it? Like, what do you think is riding on this World Series?
Everything. I mean, when you have the Blue Jays who came from nowhere to actually, win the division and be at the top spot, they had the home field advantage against the Mariners. They're at the ALS. So you compare their what they spent on their roster to what the Dodgers have spent and have deferred. This World Series is going to 100% be pointed back to when they have those conversations. You have every small market team that is going to be pointing the finger. I think it's 100% going to matter.
Yeah, 100%.
Well, somebody should have told the Brewers to not shop Freddie Peralta.
Mm-hmm. Big time. And now it also came out that the Tigers are going to shop Tarek Skubal as well.
That's why cheap owners, to me, are the real problem and not big market teams, with the way I see things.
And I think to some extent, I know that I think Alec mentioned we need a salary floor in Major League Baseball, and I can agree 100% with that. We need a salary floor in the worst way. Although a part of it has to go on the luxury tax as part of the problem for Major League Baseball, because the luxury tax has harmed these small market teams and hindered their mental capabilities to say, okay, I think we should spend, because they're worried that with the luxury tax, they're going to get hit with a big chunk, with a big fee or something like that for Major League Baseball. And that's why they're not as tempted to spend. But these smaller market teams, and I mentioned this before, and Kevin has seen this before, 4 teams are considered major markets: Mets, Red Sox, Yankees, Dodgers. And then on top of that, the 26 teams that we create this Cinderella narrative with the other teams. We're like, oh my God, they didn't spend as much money. This is incredible. And look at what they're doing. But at the same time, when you are the Brewers, who are considered small market, much to the chagrin and people who cringe the words small market a la Jay Cardinelli, you also have to realize if you go into a big series and you made that far by not spending, when you go in against a team that spends a lot of money and has a big payroll, you're going to get run over by a freight train at the end of the day.
Yeah. So what were we expecting in the NLCS? Quick series.
Yeah, unfortunately, I hate to say it because I was pulling hard for the Brewers, but unfortunately, that's what happens sometimes.
So it's not surprising that the outcome that this outcome was. It was either going to be a sweep or 5 games.
Yeah. Now, as far as World Series Game 1 goes, Kev, 11-4, Toronto bats were lighting up. Addison Barger with the big grand slam in the 6th. Toronto put up 9 runs in the 6th. Now, Blake Snell had looked dominant in the postseason up until Game 1. Yamamoto has looked pretty good for the most part this postseason. He's starting Game 2. Do you think that Toronto can keep up the bats hot against Yamamoto, or do you think Yamamoto has a different mindset and probably more pressure on him to perform high that maybe Toronto might not spark today? What do you think?
I think it'll be tough. I mean, like if Yamamoto goes off, I think like the Dodgers can easily bounce back and win a game 2. If Blue Jays, get the bats going early on against Yamamoto, then they can win game 2. It's just a matter of if Yamamoto can remain as dominant as he has been this entire postseason. And for the most part, I think he's by far the Dodgers' best starter this season, not just postseason, but because he has been absolutely incredible. And with Blake Snell, I know like he gets a lot of flack for like not being able to go deep, or like walking too many guys. And like, it hasn't really been the case, at least for this postseason. But obviously got rocked last night against the Blue Jays bats, who are having incredible at-bats. And I think to the Blue Jays point, I think their lineup against lefty starters, I think is better than their lineups against righty starters. Mm-hmm. So against Yamamoto, who's a righty, it'll be a different challenge. But I anticipate probably, like if Blue Jays go up 2-0, I think they're in the driver's seat for this series. Because you got to have a lot of confidence going from Toronto going to LA to start Game 3. But for the Dodgers, you got to win Game 2 to give yourselves a chance to have the next 3 and with your home crowd in LA to give yourselves some confidence. And because this series can shift either way, and I think it could possibly go 6, even 7 games. It's really going to depend on if the Blue Jays can do what they just did against Snell against Yamamoto and get after Yamamoto early. Because if you can't get at Yamamoto and you're going to have to wait till maybe the 8th or 9th inning to get to the Dodgers bullpen, which has been suspect for the whole season, not just this postseason. And even the Blue Jays bullpen has been suspect to a point. Yeah. But I think that Trey Savage did an outstanding job in his World Series debut. And by the way, big shout out to Trey Savage. I mean, I know he's him and Cam Schlittler have had great rookie seasons coming up. These guys starting in high A, double A, triple A, and now are starting playoff games and Trey Savage.
Yeah, pretty
starting a World Series game. That's just a great story. I'm happy for the kid. Even though he's on a rival team, I like the way this kid pitches, and I'm super psyched to see what he's going to be doing going forward. But yeah, I mean, as much. And we also talked. I know you talked about the CBA thing and all that. And of course, I want the Blue Jays to beat the Dodgers because I absolutely hate the Dodgers. But also, my only fear is that if the Blue Jays do win the World Series, then is the people who run the CBA, are they going to be as obligated to really push for a salary cap if the Blue Jays win as opposed to if the Dodgers win? If the Dodgers win, no question, there's no way you cannot justify a salary cap and or floor. But if the Blue Jays win, their argument is going to be, oh, well, the Blue Jays didn't spend as much as the Dodgers did, so why should we include a salary cap and all that? But at the same time, it's not like the Blue Jays didn't add, because they did. They extended Vladimir Guerrero Jr. They went out and got Sir Anthony Dominguez. They went out and got Anthony Santander. They went out and got Andres Jimenez, and those guys have been contributing for the most part. So you can't really say that they haven't added or spent, because they did to some extent, but obviously not as much as the Dodgers. But that's my only gripe about if the Blue Jays win. I hope that doesn't influence the CBA into not pushing for a salary cap or floor, because we definitely need both.
Absolutely. I think, listen, the game has a big financial problem. And even though, salary cap, salary floor needs to happen, we can't have massive contracts like Ohtani and Soto anymore, because those 2 contracts single-handedly put the MLB in this position. And the Dodgers were greedy, so greedy to the point they were spending money they don't even have for Ohtani. And then Soto selfishly said, you know what? I want this much money. And then look at what the Mets did.
It's just insane, is what it is. Because Ohtani and Yamamoto alone, that's over $1 billion right there. A team can't even spend half that money if you're a small market team. And Alec, I'm sorry, I'm going to bring up the Pirates. Their biggest free agent signing, correct me if I'm wrong, was for a total value of $7 million. So I agree with the sentiment that the cheap owners are just as big of an issue, if not more of an issue, because we have no salary floor, and the salary cap is only going to harm teams like the Dodgers and all that from spending and then all those deferred contracts. But you also need to have a floor, because you need to have teams who are going to be willing to spend and actually care about the status of winning in your team. And if you have teams the Pirates, the Rockies, the White Sox, you have no chance. If you can't spend at least a considerable amount on your team, you can't win. And look at the World Series from a couple of years ago. You had the Rangers and the Diamondbacks. What did the Rangers do? They won their first World Series by how did they do it? They spent. They got a guy like Jacob deGrom to convince him to go on the team. They got a guy like Marcus Semien, Corey Seager, and all those other guys. That's how you build a team. You have to spend. In some capacity, you have to spend if you're going to win the World Series. I'm sorry. That's just how it is nowadays for if you want to win. Brewers almost did it, this year, but obviously the Dodgers, it was just no chance with the type of team they got. And with them thinking about shopping Freddie Peralta, and the Tigers literally trying to shop out Terry Skubal, who's going to win back-to-back Cy Youngs, and they lowballed him by almost $200 million. That's inexcusable. And you got to think that now that he's going to go to one of the big market teams, because they're going to give him $400 million or more. So absolutely, the floor and the cheap owners are a bigger problem.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, go ahead.
Of course, I've been saying this for some time, that the cheap owners and a no salary floor are bigger problems than a salary cap all this time. Because and you have cheap owners that are lowballing players, Chris Illich, for that matter with Tarek Skubal, then you're making a terrible move. It's inexcusable that you're lowballing Tarek Skubal by not offering him what he wants. You have to give him what he wants.
Especially if you want a chance at winning. John, you want to say anything about this?
Oh, I agree. I mean, and I think we need to have more discussions as we get closer and closer to the CBA about where we think those numbers should be. I mean, we need to look at, the bottom, the cheap spenders like the Brewers and other teams like the Pittsburgh probably, and kind of see where the bar should actually be. Because if you're going to bracket, where are those numbers going to be at? Is my question.
And one last thing I want to say in regards to this whole salary cap, salary floor allegations in the CBA. Look at MLB's popularity over the last 3 years. The lockout happened in 2022. It took Aaron Judge hitting 62 homers in 2022 to bring the fans back. And now the fans are back and then some. Ratings are up 30% over the last few years. And I think that's just a testament to how popular the sport has gotten. And I know Rob Manfred, we give him a lot of flack, but part of the responsibility of him growing the sport and the ratings going, it has to sit on his shoulders as saying, Rob, you did a good job growing the game, bringing fans back to the game, and now you got to capitalize on that.
The numbers for Game 7 of the ALCS was crazy, and I think those numbers definitely dropped for the World Series.
Oh, 100%. That.
Oh yeah, I can second that.
100%. So as far as the World Series prediction, we got game one of the book. Blue Jays are up 1-0 in the series. Real quick before we get into NHL, because that's been pretty good as of late. What is our prediction for the World Series as far as how many games it goes and who wins? John, I'm going to start with you.
Dodgers in 6.
So 4-2 Dodgers. Kevin.
Yeah, so I would say if the Dodgers do win, it will be in 6 games. But I'm sorry, for the Blue Jays to win, I think it's going to have to be to go 7, because this Dodgers team is not going to lie down after a loss like they had last night. They have the pitching, they have the offense, and they have the results of winning a World Series last year, and they have the pedigree to do it and the coaching. So if the Dodgers are going to win, I think it's going to be in 6 games. But if the Blue Jays are going to win, I think it has to go 7 for them to win. But I really want Blue Jays to win in 7. So I'll say Blue Jays in 7, but if Dodgers win, it's going to be in 6.
Okay, fair point. Alec?
All right, so for LA, it's going to be on the backs of starting pitching if they were to win this. The bats have been noticeably struggling, but if there's a batter that I can see realistically having the best of this bunch, it's not Ohtani, it's Freddie Freeman. Mm-hmm. Because the Blue Jays starting rotation are all right-handed between Yasavich, Gosman, Scherzer, and Bieber. They're all right-handed pitchers. The Blue Jays, they keep putting the ball in play and are extremely disciplined at the plate. So that's going to be best on best between the two of them. Vlad Guerrero, you know how he rolls in the postseason this year. George Springer, clutch, and the lights are brightest. Not to mention other key batters on this Blue Jays core, like Ernie Clement. Where did he come from, by the way?
Oh, my God.
Addison Barger, who had that grand slam yesterday, first ever pinch hit grand slam in the World Series, too. That's insane. And Bo Bichette just came back, which is huge. And but who says he has a few days to learn playing second base? He adjusted nicely. It looks like he is back into form playing at second base. You put Andres Jimenez at shortstop, he's playing like a better defensive shortstop right now at this current moment with Bichette out in comparison to how we see the two of them play. So Toronto does have the lineup fixtures that they can counter up against LA. Though I know the Dodgers are the defending champions and picking them is the logical pick. But I'm going to go out on a limb and say Toronto has that team of destiny type of vibe. And if they were to win this series, it's like Kevin said, it's going to go all the way. But I'm seeing this scenario happen. Blue Jays win in 7.
I'm going to say the same thing that Kevin and Alec are saying because the Blue Jays are in for a war. It's a war against the defending champs who have been red hot this postseason. They got hot at the right time. Now you got to hope that they cool off, but the Dodgers are not going to cool off easily. They're not. That's just how it is. And they're trying to win back-to-back, like I said, for the first time in almost a quarter century. So this is big for them. And I think that the series goes all the way. And if the Blue Jays win a fantastic series in 7 games, I think that will just add to Major League Baseball's already growing popularity.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay. Now we're going to get into the NHL, and I know Kevin and I have been dying for some NHL action. First off, before we even start in the NHL, New York Rangers, you sicken me. Losing to the Sharks in overtime? Really? Like, first off, we can't even have competent. I don't know what that costume is now. You're definitely not Shane Bowen, that's for sure. And you're not
Shane Bowen's taking a break. He's taking a break.
Okay, Shane Bowen's taking a break. He's on leave. But like the Rangers losing to the Sharks, unacceptable. Completely unacceptable. And this Rangers team, they fired Pete Laviolette after his second year. They're already in a regime. They've already made a mess of their roster. We suck at home. We suck at Madison Square Garden. The Knicks are the go-to spot now over there. And it's like, I try to get into hockey. I really try to get into hockey all season long. But if the Rangers can't score at home, they can't win at home, it's worthless for the most part. But like me being a Ranger fan is just sickening. But as far as other teams go, I know Kevin's a Devils fan. I know Alec is a Penguins fan, but also his Canes are doing well as well. So that's something I need to point out. So I'm going to get to Alec here. Canes off to a great start. Penguins got a big win against the champs not too long ago. What do you think?
Oh, I want to start with a surprise because who could have seen the Penguins dominating like this? Well, not exactly dominating, but succeeding to this level. Now, heading into the season, I was predicting that we would be a competitive team at the very best, but be bad enough so that we can secure a top pick. But the opposites happened. That the Pens, with the potential last right of Evgeny Malkin and Sidney Crosby together as a 1-2 punch down the middle, that we go out to a 6-2-0 start, and we just defeated the defending champions. Granted, they're missing Barkov and Tkachuk, and they're off to a slow start. But that's life without Barkov and Tkachuk. But anytime you take out the defending champions at their home ice, of all places to be at, that's a confidence booster. Crosby notched 2 goals, both on the power play. But he almost had an empty netter right off the faceoff, too, and he assisted on another goal in which he set up to Rickard Rakell. He and Erik Karlsson. Karlsson's playing good to start off the year. He's back to being the Karlsson that we know when we acquired him from San Jose coming off that Norris Trophy season. Well, the effect that Dan Muse has, former assistant coach with the Rangers, now head coach of the Pens, is having a noticeable impact on the youth. Ben Kindle, who I was skeptical and when we chose him over Victor Eklund in the draft, looks like a confident surprise here at just 18 years old. But the fact that we chose him has been a surprise, but a very pleasant one. He's not some passenger to Crosby and Malkin. He's driving his own line and on the third line, doing so impressively. His playmaking's there. His defense is there. His puck skills are right there without the puck, on and off the puck. Harrison Brunick, the 19-year-old defenseman in South Africa, impressive. And his presence is not as big as a surprise as Kindle because there was always an expectation he might be here. But there may be something more noticeable from him, Brunick, than Kindle, but it's to be expected of a young defenseman. But one of the more impressive plays so far did not even result in a goal. Taking a pass off the rush in San Jose. And then Justin Brazo. This was the biggest surprise, in my opinion. Him on the second line when he's been a career bottom sixer. Oh, my. And not to mention he's a net front presence, too, which helps out a line that Malkin needs. The goaltending has been a big surprise. It's been our biggest question mark for years. But Artur Shilovs and Tristan Jarry has mostly been fantastic to start the year. Who knows how long this lasts, but It's off to a good start in the Dan Muse era. Now, Carolina, on the other hand, well, Andrei Svechnikov has been off to a slow start. He doesn't have a point yet, but we're expecting he emerges later in the year for him to finally wake up. We've yet to have that happen, but getting 5 wins in our first 5 games, good look. But we had to survive that win over Colorado. Nearly blew a 4-1 lead. That cannot happen again. Good thing we squeaked down the shootout, but this defense is so banged up that we allow 48 shots to Colorado. Now, granted, it is Colorado in a ferocious attack, but look at the names who we're missing. Jacob Slavin's out. Keandre Miller is out. Shane Gostisbehere is out. So for the time being, our number 1 defenseman is Sean Walker, or you could say Jalen Chatfield for the matter, because Alexander Nikishin's going to be developing soon enough. So we're going to have to rely on rookies like Nikishin, who is our top rookie on this class, but also we have to rely on Charles Alexis Legault and Joel Nystrom, for that matter, 2 other rookies who are being entrusted with. It's tough on the back end, but if we can survive in the future without Slavin, without Miller, then, and if we can be in a good enough position where we can win these games, this team's going to be all right. I'm going to preach patience for this matter, because as Carolina is still having things on and off at the beginning of the year, because William Carey and Eric Robinson exited the Colorado game with injuries. But if there's anything I can't take away, Seth Jarvis is the closest thing that Carolina has to a true superstar on the team. And he's a legitimate Selke Trophy candidate too. Best defensive forward for the best defensive forward in the league. And he could give Nico Hischier a run for his money on the Selke Trophy runnings. Sebastian Aho, still Sebastian Aho. Yeah, but who is impressing me the most on Carolina is easily Jarvis.
Yeah. People are stepping up on Carolina, and they're hanging tough in the Metro Division, which is currently owned by the Devils right now. Hence why Kevin's wearing the hat. And correct me if I'm wrong. I know the Devils are 7-1, but Don LaGreca is 7-0 calling games. Correct?
That's correct. Yeah, he didn't call the first game because the first game was an NHL network game.
Gotcha. Okay. So Don LaGreca calling Devil game so far off to a great start. I didn't think he was a Devils guy, but I guess he took the job because he wanted to call a hockey game so bad. But
hometown team,
exactly. So Kev, the Devils killing it. Jack Hughes looking really good. Great goaltending across the board. You're winning in really good ways. Like, what is it about this Devils team that could make them a potential contender for the Stanley Cup? I know it's early, but what have you seen so far?
Man, I've just been loving what I'm seeing from the Devils so far this season. I mean, I know we always get off the hot starts like in the beginning of seasons. It happened last season too. But this team is different, because not only are we the current best team in the NHL right now at 7-1 with 14 points, but we're also just winning in different ways. Like you mentioned, we have scored at least 3 goals or more in every single game. So the offense is buzzing, guys stepping up. Like Jack Hughes has been unbelievable to start the season. You have guys like Jesper Bratt, Nico Hischier still being themselves their captains. But I want to talk about one thing that I've liked. Our secondary scoring and our defense has been a lot better so far this season than last season. Last season, you had guys of the likes of Curtis Lazar. You had Brendan Dowling, whatever his name is. And
Justin Dowling,
Justin Dowling, and Brian Dumoulin. But those 3 guys, when you compare it to the guys that we have now, like the new acquisitions, Connor Brown, the rookie Arseny Gritsuk, and Paul Cotter and Luke Glendening, those guys are so much more better on the defensive front than those 3 guys that ever were. And I love this kid, Arseny Gritsuk. He's young, and he just got his first career NHL goal a couple of games ago. Yeah. I think he brings like a big spark to this team that like we haven't seen in a long time. And keep in mind, they have 7 straight wins, and until last night, they had 21 straight penalties killed. Our penalty kill unit is unbelievable to start the season so far. The power play unit is okay. I think it could be better, but I'm loving what I'm seeing. And keep in mind, this whole win streak, they're doing this without Jacob Markstrom, their starting goalie. Jake Allen, our backup goalie, has been doing unbelievable. Even Nico Dawes had a game started last game. And like when I looked at the schedule before the season started, I'm like, damn, this is a tough schedule to start the season. I mean, you have basically a ton of playoff teams that you're going to test you early on. I'm like,
yeah,
I don't know if we're gonna this month is gonna be tough. But guess what? I mean, they have beaten almost every single one of them. After that first loss against Carolina, where they played them tough and lost 6-3, they have beaten playoff teams like the Tampa Bay Lightning on the road, the Columbus Blue Jackets on the road, the defending champions, both Panthers at home, and the Oilers, Stanley Cup finalists at home. Then at Toronto on the road. Then back home against the Wild, they beat them 4-1, and then they just beat a lowly Sharks team who stopped their PK streak. And now it's 7 straight wins. It's unbelievable. And keep in mind, right now. Cody Glass is hurt right now. But who needs Cody Glass right now when you have other guys that can step in there like Arseny Gritsuk and on the like? Connor Brown has been unbelievable. I think he's done more than when Dowling and Lazar were here last season. He's done more for the secondary units and for defense. Our defense has been the big story in my opinion because Jake Allen, I think, even though he's like 35 years old. Like that contract that we just extended him to, where it was like $8 million, it's looking like an absolute steal right now because I think he's been carrying the load when Markstrom is hurt. When Markstrom comes back, the goaltending is going to be fine too, as much more than it already is right now. And then you also have another test, and I know Alec touched on it, but Colorado, we versed them the next 2 games back to back. First in New Jersey hosting them, and then we go to Colorado next game to verse them again. And then we go to San Jose to versus the Sharks again. But this Colorado Avalanche team is obviously really good. I'm actually like a little nervous for that game. I think one of those 2 games is where the winning streak might end because Avalanche I think is a top team in the league for a reason. But the Devils, like if they can beat all those other teams, like if they play their game, I think that they could pull off. I don't want to say an upset because I don't think it would be because the Devils have a slightly better record than Colorado does. But to me, I think that would be like a really good win because Avalanche are a really good team, and we'll have to see what happens. I'm hoping at least we split the next 2 games against them. But if we win both, I mean, like, I don't think there's anything you can say about like this team. Like this team has just been unbelievable. Like, and the big thing for this team is health because we know that Dougie Hamilton is healthy right now. But I guarantee he was going to be hurt at some point in the season because he's always injury prone, and we need him, like especially on our power play because he's a beast in the power play. And last year when we lost Jack Hughes in the second half of the season, we made the playoffs, but like against Carolina in the first round, no chance without one of our captains, like our franchise player. So like we need to stay healthy, and we need to have our PK unit be as good as it is carrying it over. In the second latter half of the season into the postseason, because if that happens, then like I think you can realistically have the Devils as like a dark horse in the postseason if that does happen. Their only issue is that they have to get past Carolina in the postseason. That's been their one gripe. That's the hump that they have to get over if they want to get to where they need to be. And also, like I think with the Sharks, there's 3 lowly teams that they always struggle with every single year, and the Sharks are one of them. The Predators are another one, and the Blues are the third one. I don't know what it is about those 3 teams, but the Sharks, Predators, and Blues always give the Devils trouble. Not the case last night, but I think that the Devils really test themselves against higher competition and play better in that sense. But like a big problem for them last year was giving up the first goal and not having clean defense. And I think that they have completely changed that this season so far. And if they keep playing like they've been doing, like I could see this Devils being like one of the best in the NHL.
This is a team that I think a lot of people could have their eyes on. And I looked at their penalty kill unit, 93.1%.
It's insane.
That's an insane number when you think about it. And they have the second most goals scored in the NHL. That's insanity. That's
incredible.
You can't ask for more than that. I mean, listen, I think getting to Carolina is going to be their biggest test. Yeah, that's been proven that on opening night. But so far, promising. You're beating playoff caliber teams. You beat the champs. I mean, right now you just got to keep the momentum going, and health is always a number one priority for any team.
That's the biggest factor. Yep.
Because when Jack Hughes got hurt, I think it was all 4 of us who said on the show we didn't give the Devils a chance in that series.
Yeah, and it was fair.
And
It was a fair assessment.
it's the same thing as like if Judge got hurt on the Yankees, they can't win. Same thing with Jack Hughes on the Devils. If they're hurt, they can't go far in the postseason. It's the same kind of deal. But like, obviously, guys are going to be there to step up. But like, Jack Hughes is a big part of why the Devils are successful right now. So he's got to stay healthy.
Absolutely. Now we're going to get into college in full in a little bit, but I do want to give you some updates on scores. Vanderbilt, Missouri, the highly anticipated game between both teams. It's tied at 10 in the fourth quarter with 7 minutes to go. Vanderbilt has the ball in the Missouri territory. South Carolina is up 15-14 against Alabama at the end of 3 quarters. BYU came back. They're up 41-27 against Iowa State, a team that was leading against them for the most part. Washington is putting a pretty good beat down on Illinois, 42-25 in the fourth. And then earlier today, Indiana just spanked UCLA 56-6. Wasn't even close. Georgia Tech, they're 8-0. They won 41-16. Ole Miss won 34-26 over Oklahoma. North Carolina just loses again. They lost 17-16 in overtime to Virginia. And then South Florida, who was ranked, they lost to Memphis, who were a 23.5-point favorite against UAB last week. They fell 34-31 against Memphis. Now, when we get into the second half of the show and we get into college football, and I know John's all in for college football. Quick little grub right here. Fernando Mendoza, to me, looked like the number 1 pick in the draft because this Indiana team is doing things they haven't done in a long time. And like I said on last week's episode, they could absolutely be Big Ten champions. I think Ohio State, I know Indiana's schedule is very favorable, but Indiana is complete on all fronts. Great defense, great running game, great quarterback play. I can't complain. And with Drew Aller getting hurt and Penn State season in free fall mode, I think Fernando Mendoza might be the number 1 overall pick. And I think he could go to the Jets. John, would you agree with that?
I think he's the first quarterback. I don't think he's the first pick. Unless the Jets keep losing, then they take a quarterback, and he's definitely the number 1 pick. Having Cleveland pick another quarterback over again is just insanity to me. Like, that would be crazy. But it would not surprise me. I'm really, really paying attention. This year, I'm actually going to go to the Pro Bowl. I'm working with, I'm excited. I have some news that I will probably reveal the closer we get to the end of the year. But I am working my way into doing more on a pro level, and evaluating players is one of the things that I'm excited about doing, right now. So I'm working with a guy that's been doing it for a number of years, just kind of learning how he does things, what he looks at. It's one of the reasons I went to the draft in April. So none of the quarterbacks have really, really impressed me. I said that before the season started.
Yeah.
What's interesting to me is you look at Mendoza, he transferred to Indiana. Where did he play last year? Anybody know?
I
do not remember.
He was in Miami.
That's right. He was.
Oh, right behind Cam Ward.
Think about if he had stayed in Miami, what kind of team the Hurricanes would be. They have Carson Beck, but Carson Beck has always disappointed me when he played in Georgia.
He has.
I think if Mendoza had stayed one more year, they would have been 10 times better than Indiana is right now.
That's actually something that I never thought in my wildest dreams. I can't believe that you let him go and he transferred. That's insanity. Okay, we're going to get more into college ball in a second, but we got to give a shout out to our sponsor, DAS Technology Consulting. So DAS Technology Consulting is a company that is involved in IT that has been in the business for over 30 years of knowledge. Darren Sirianni, who's the chief sales officer of the company, knows his stuff. And here's what DAS can do for you. Take a listen.
Our approach at DAS Technology is simple. At DAS Technology, we offer a very unique approach by providing our clients a single point of contact for all their mission-critical data center demands. DAS Technology Consulting is a global leader in data center services, specializing in delivering cutting-edge, best-of-breed enterprise solutions. With a focus on innovation and reliability, DAS provides worldwide storage, server, and networking solutions that are tailored to meet the evolving demands of the modern data-driven world.
And thank you, DAS Technology Consulting, for sponsoring. We greatly appreciate it. We are in hour number 2 now. We're going to get back into college football as well as more detail with the NFL, whether or not we go on fresh spreads, given what we just talked about with the NBA scandal. I know the ESPN blanked out ESPN Bet. We're probably not going to do that because spread picks is a segment. Talarcios is our guys. We love them over there. We can't leave them back in the dust.
Sorry, I just had to. Expelliarmus.
All right.
I want you to, next time we do this segment, I want your best fresh spreads. Let's build it.
Oh my God. Okay, you know what? I might be today. Let's build our fresh spreads. I still gotta go to Talarcio's and purchase a sandwich. I was in Alabama last week, and that's why I didn't get a sandwich. But actually, speaking of which, we'll start with we'll get back to NCAA and we'll get back into some college with reflecting on a trip that I took to Alabama last week, rather. I saw Alabama Crimson Tide beat Tennessee pretty handily. I think it was like 34-17 was the final. And I'll tell you right now, it was a fun competitive game. Alabama fans, 100,000 strong in attendance. It was actually a pretty insane fan base and crowd. But here's where I don't like. And this is with any SEC school, because SEC schools are victim of this, and I know they're guilty of this as well. Do we really need to smoke cigars after victories? Do we really need to encourage our youth to kill their lungs? Do we really need to, encourage smoking and almost make people like me want to die in the stadium when the smoke is covering the stadium? First off, I hate smoking. I will never smoke. And I think it's really disgusting when Alabama Stadium smells like cigars and smoke, and you got me hiding my nose underneath my shirt like this as if it was the COVID pandemic, hoping to not inhale and secondhand smoke, because that's also bad. Mm-hmm. So
thank you.
I hate smoking. And our kids deserve better. Our youth deserve better than smoking. Mm-hmm. And that's my gripe for the day. But Alabama won convincingly. They're actually on upset alert right now against South Carolina, but that was like my little gripe about the Alabama trip. It was a fun trip, but please, enough with the smoke. Don't smoke.
Please. As someone who has had asthma problems in the past, it's bad.
Yeah. Kev, would you say the same thing?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I've never smoked. I never will smoke. I mean, like, smoking has caused like a ton of, deaths, around the world. And like, I think it's, I know there's like warnings, like on like when you buy smoking stuff, it's like a warning, this product is addictive. And I'm like, I think if they should re-edit it that to say, warning, this product can kill you if you're not
it can kill you.
It can kill you. I was just in all caps. I said this product can kill you, not just this product is addictive. Because I feel the same way about smoking. I hate smoking and the idea of it.
John, do you have any comment on this?
Yes. I mean, it's in public, and smoking in public is illegal, so it shouldn't be that hard to figure out. As I'm watching Vanderbilt first and goal on the 1.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God. I gotta give a shout out to my cousin Joseph. He goes to Vanderbilt. He's a sophomore at the school. Really good time. Actually, Vanderbilt, they're looking for their best start in program history since 1941. They have not gone 7-1 in there to start a season since 1941. You're talking 84 years since they started that hot. And they're on the doorstep of doing that. Like John said, first and goal for Vanderbilt right now. But as far as other things I want to get into when it comes to college ball, sorry about the little smoking gripe. I just had to get that out of the way. Bill Belichick has already planned or is considering opting out of his contract with North Carolina. They lost again today to Virginia, who was ranked 16 in the country. Not good. And I think for people who love the NFL and love football as a whole, I think the last thing they want to see is have arguably the greatest coach in pro sports have his career end like this. the lasting image they see of him. And I would love to get John's take on this whole Bill Belichick thing because it's just been a disaster.
Well, I mean, this is the which came first, Tom Brady or Bill Belichick? And at this
Right.
point, it's looking a whole lot more like Tom Brady. The experiment failed. It failed disastrously, bringing in 19 transfers and trying to build a team in 6 or 7 weeks.
Right.
Obviously is a failure. If I were Bill, I would stick with it one more year and stick with those guys that I chose to bring in, and actually prove that I could build a program. But I don't think he and his girlfriend want to do that.
Nope.
I would really love to talk about this documentary that pulled out. I don't know if you guys have heard about that, but it was supposed to be a Hulu documentary about Bill. And the producers were the ones that fronted the money to spend on. They gave University of North Carolina $200,000 to do this documentary. And
oh my God.
Jeez.
Bill got to the point where he refused them access to the locker room, and all these things just started, unwinding, and the crew pulled out, and I think they ended up owing the university $15,000 because because they had to back out of the contract. So it's a disaster all the way around, deeper than all of us know.
Yeah. I know we talked about Bill Belichick a little bit on the last episode, but this is just something that, like, restricting access, alumni don't like him, parents are not even aware of what's going on at practices and in training. Like, they're not even aware of what's going on with their kids. Belichick is making sure everything's private.
The debut game it was a Monday night game, everybody was watching, and their first drive was amazing, and then that team offense has not showed up since. You had Michael Jordan up in the stands laughing it up with Bill's little baby mama, hoochie mama, whatever you want to call her. And I don't his name is on everything in a university, and I think it's embarrassing. What's interesting this weekend is Steve Sarkisian put it out there that he wants the Tennessee Titans job. So pay attention to that.
Right. Yeah, that came out just today, so that's a really good development that was brought up. I know you're a North Carolina native, so I'm going to come to you on this one. We've talked about this a little bit, but to have your name on every part of the university almost, and your team's playing like this, you're 2-5 now, and you want out. Honestly, the stuff with Bill Belichick's girlfriend is not making matters better either. They're making matters worse. So, if you're Bill Belichick, if you buy out of this contract, do you return to the NFL? Do you give it one more go? Do you think he'll even get another shot? Like, where do you see this going from here?
As I said before, he's trapped. He's trapped into his own contract, and if he wants to, he says he's trying to leave, but honestly, he can't leave because of the buyout implications and the finances that I've discussed. Everything that's been going around is complete drama within UNC and with Belichick himself, between his girlfriend and the practices and keeping everything private, even locking out Patriots staff and advising people not to tweet anything about Drake May when he was going off against the Buffalo Bills.
What?
Dude, you're just being petty at this point. Now, come on. Now, Belichick is a coaching legend, but at this point, he's just ruining his own reputation. And he's just giving ammo to people who are saying that it was Brady who was the cause of the Patriot dynasty and not Belichick, when it was both that have complemented off one another. They need each other. Come on. Why?
Not necessary. Not
Absolutely
necessary. It's petty, and it's actually toxic to the locker room.
Yeah.
And that's the last thing any college program needs, is a toxic head coach.
Absolutely.
Now, I don't know for say if Robert Kraft was doing this to protect the NFL from Belichick. And like I said, we don't know exactly what kind of Coach Belichick was toward the later days of his Patriots tenure. But if Robert Kraft saw the writing on the wall and fired him, he had to have known something was going on.
It's possible. Definitely possible.
That's the real part that I'm putting into this whole chat about this. Now, Vanderbilt right now, less than 2 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. I think they have second goal from the one. I think John might be ahead of me by a play or whatever. But it's still 10-10. Less than 2 minutes to go.
Yeah, and by the way, it's 22-14 South Carolina.
Oh my God, over Alabama.
Yes.
But
Alabama's
at the South Carolina 41 right now.
So they would need a touchdown and 2-point conversion to tie. Vanderbilt's top 10 in the country, by the way. They haven't been ranked this high in a long time. Also, I want to get into the Houston Cougars. I know Kevin's wearing his Houston Cougars hat, so this is only appropriate. Kevin, I saw Texas Tech lose to Arizona State last week, which gave Houston a chance, an outside shot at this point, to make the Big 12 championship game. Houston's playing really well. What do you see as far as Houston's schedule? Do you think they can make the Big 12 championship game? Do you think they can make some noise in the Big 12 conference play the rest of the year? And do you think they can maybe challenge a team like BYU, per se?
Well, obviously they've got a chance, and I think that big win, or that big win by Arizona State to hand the Texas Tech Raiders their first loss is definitely huge for us, because this is the best I've seen the UH football play in quite some time. Because now we're bowl eligible for the first time in a long time. I know that everyone says that we're a basketball college, and we are, but we're not really known for our football. And our football team is performing this well. And I think it goes to show you that I think a coaching change was definitely in order. And I think that our new quarterback Weigman has been doing really good. Dean Connors is a great running back. That guy Cozy, one of the tight ends that we got, I think he's been really good. Yep. And I think that we have a chance to go to the Big 12 championship. Obviously, this game tonight against Arizona State is huge, because with BYU now beating Iowa State, they're probably going to win. So they're going to go to 5-0 in conference play, right? And then you have Texas Tech shutting out the team they're versing right now. So they're going to go 4-1 in conference play. The Cincinnati are 4-0 right now, but I don't know who they're versing. I think they're versing Baylor right now.
They're versing Baylor, I believe.
They're versing Baylor right now, and they're winning. So they're going to go to 5-0 and be tied with BYU for first. So, and Arizona State and UH are both 3-1. So if UH upsets Arizona State and goes 4-1, then that keeps pace with Texas Tech into the standings. But if they lose and drop to 3-2, then I think it hurts their chances a little bit. So this game tonight is huge. It's everything, because I know their first test against Texas Tech didn't go their way. And, and I think a big reason for that is because Texas Tech was just a better team. They played better. And obviously they're playing with oil money, with all the NIL deals that they're getting. And also with UH, if I said, this Arizona State game has big implications, because now Arizona State beat Texas Tech. And keep in mind, Arizona State wasn't ranked but that time when they were reversing Texas Tech. Now they're ranked 24th. So if UH upsets a ranked team, you could possibly see them maybe be even close to being ranked. And that really helps their Big 12 conference standings and chances, because this is the best I've seen this football team look in quite some time. So gonna obviously be watching as soon as we finish here, because that Arizona State game is got to be their biggest game of the year by far.
Absolutely, 100%. I'm still keeping track of this Vanderbilt Missouri game. Yahoo Sports is being very slow right now. I'm literally got Yahoo Sports on my side. I know my cousin is at the game. He's actually going crazy right now. This has been a low-scoring game. What happened?
Speaking of Big 12 play, Baylor has cut the lead to 7, so it's 27-20 Cincinnati. 12:30 in the fourth.
Yeah,
and you mentioned scoring updates. Let me just see if I can get the scoring update.
And Bama said South Carolina's 2, first and goal.
And also, breaking news: Vanderbilt just did take the lead. They scored a touchdown. So I guess it's 17-10 Vanderbilt unless they go for 2. John, what happened? Get the PAT.
They score. It's they went for a PAT.
Okay, so it's 17-10.
All right,
it's 17-10. So Missouri's got to tie the game by going however long with less than 2 minutes to go, with one timeout. So that's a little update right there. So we're gonna keep track of this But we mentioned unbeaten's last episode. One thing I wanted to get into: 5 of 11 unbeaten's fell last week, including the University of Miami, who lost to Louisville in what was a competitive matchup. I had Louisville winning outright in my 4-square 4-leg parlay, which again doesn't hit because why would my 4-square 4-leg parlays hit? They stink. But anyway, Miami lost, Texas Tech lost, Memphis lost to they were a 23.5-point favorite against Memphis. Ole Miss lost, and I think one other program lost as well. Miami was UNLV. UNLV. They're kind of irrelevant. But but they are. But as far as those 5 upsets are concerned, I think we're all going to agree the biggest upset of last week was Miami because this team was ranked number 2 in the country.
Mm-hmm.
And Carson Beck threw 4 interceptions. This is probably one of the worst games of his collegiate career. And we mentioned Fernando Mendoza leaving to go to Indiana, transferring there. And man, would this happen with Fernando Mendoza at QB? I don't think so. He's only thrown 24 touchdowns and 3 picks. Like Carson Beck has not been himself the way he was at the University of Georgia. So Miami lost. Memphis was the biggest outright loss because, like I said, 24.5-point loss. And Bama tied it. They went for 2 and they tied. So it's 22-22. And South Carolina will get the ball back. That's another update here. My God, they're just coming in like crazy. But now that Miami lost, it seemed like Georgia Tech runs the ACC, which, by the way, has been a really bad conference, to say the least. Like, outside of Georgia Tech, the ACC has been bad. And with no more buys after conference championship wins, anything can happen. We can see 2 SEC teams get in the top 4 and get a bye. That's how the new structure is. But I think it is important to emphasize that while Georgia Tech is in a bad conference, they were dominant in a bad conference. And I think that deserves some recognition. John, what would your take on that be?
I think Georgia Tech is probably one of the best teams in the ACC. They're one of they're one of the biggest underdogs. I don't think anybody expected them to come up this year the way that they have.
Oh man. So John's having a little technical difficulties, but as far as John, we got John back. All right, John, you good?
Yeah. I think Georgia Tech is probably one of the best teams in the ACC. I don't think anybody expected them to be, but here we are. I don't see a team like SMU beating them. The only challenges they have are probably going to be Clemson and Miami at this point.
That's fair. And also, we got another update. This came from John. Mississippi State is up 31-14 over Texas.
Another
hype about Arch Manning that quickly died.
Oh, how quickly? Just as quick as how Pitt is putting BTA on NC State.
My God, BTA. That's gonna be the new thing now. We should make a T-shirt for that. BTA. Ever.
Yeah.
But like, Texas fell apart pretty bad. The Ohio State game, which I said hammer the over, they were pathetic that game. And now here we are, Mississippi State, a team that's not even that good, and they're losing 31-14. How much time is left in even that game?
Dude,
that third quarter just ended.
I feel
Quinn
Ewers.
Quinn Ewers left a pro. They're missing Quinn Ewers in the worst way. Arch Manning, I guess, isn't all it's cracked up to be. He should definitely stay in college another year because this was just not a good year for him.
He should stay for another year. For another year, and then declare for the draft.
And I think this adds to John's point from earlier that this college class is not particularly great because other than Fernando Mendoza, the big-time quarterbacks that we expected to step up and produce this year, not really happening. So that's the biggest surprise. John, would you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. This class is going to be really deep on wide receiver. And a little bit deeper on linebacker this year. I think that'll be a position that gets battled over in the early rounds of the draft. And then there are some really, really big hogamollies on both lines that I like. Quarterback is a little stronger, definitely stronger than it was in 2025, but it's still mediocre, I think, till next year for quarterbacks.
That's fair to say. That's fair to say. Now, as far as who we have winning the national championship at this point in the year, I know. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, Alec and Kevin. You both have Ohio State, correct?
I had Miami actually.
Oh, Miami. Well, now that Miami fell, now what do you believe?
I mean, that. I'm going to stick with Miami for now because I still need to see like how the season unfolds like for the next like few games. I'm still going to stick with Miami.
Okay, Alec, you sticking with OSU?
At this point, until proven otherwise, I'm sticking with Ohio State unless we see one team that can step up to test them outright. We've yet to see this happen because I have yet to see a team that can match them blow for blow. Wide receivers look strong over there, but then again, Ohio State is wide receiver U. But it's been the defense that's been the tail of the tape. Shout out to Caleb Downs.
Big time.
Mm-hmm.
So, John, with everything you've seen so far this collegiate season, and we have 5 or 6 8-0 teams left in college, who do you think is the national champion at this point in the year?
You know who I really, really like right now is Ole Miss.
Ole Miss, yeah, they look good.
They're good.
Their defense woke up today against Oklahoma and they just dominated Mateer and shut Oklahoma down in the second half. And I don't think that they're going to stop. I really think that they're going to come on strong towards. If you look at strength of the schedule, they have South Carolina and maybe Bama left on their schedule as far as ranked teams, and so they're coasting to the Natty as far as I'm concerned.
Wow, that's an interesting pick. I like Ole Miss a lot. I think people are probably selling themselves short on I think it's Ohio State till proven guilty, although I do really love Indiana. I love the way the season's been playing.
So, John, I just took a look at it. Their next 4 games are South Carolina, the Citadel, Florida, and Mississippi State.
Yeah.
The Citadel.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think Ole Miss is going to be a top 5 team by the end of it.
I think so, too, yeah.
They had a tough one against Georgia last week. They had a tough one because Georgia at home is always going to be a tough place to play. Although I am going to say, call me crazy, I think Georgia Tech can beat Georgia in their regular season finale.
I like that.
Yeah, I do
like
too.
that.
I do too.
Call me crazy. Here's why. If you remember last year's game between the two, they went blow for blow in 2-point conversion attempts in I think it was like 7th, 8th overtime.
Yeah,
True.
8 overtimes. And Georgia Tech was a program on the rise back then.
They were on the rise. Look at them now. I guarantee. I'm not going to guarantee anything, but I think they can beat Georgia.
And
my top 5 teams right now are Ohio State, probably Indiana number 2. I would go Ole Miss number 3, Miami number 4, and Georgia Tech number 5.
That's a fair
top
5.
That's fair. That's fair. Yeah.
The Yellow Jackets are here, everyone.
They are. And like I said, they play in a bad conference, but you know what? They're dominating their conference.
Yes, sir.
And that's the number one thing you have to do. You play whoever's in front of you, but you have to take care of whoever's in front of you. And they even take care of business easily.
Whoa, what a bomb.
What happened?
Texas. What a pass.
My God.
I see.
Right.
Arch Manning just threw a huge bomb to Mingo down at the 2.
Wow.
Goal, yeah.
Well, we'll see what happens there. All right. We got to get into NFL, and then we got to get into Fresh Founder Fried. So we're going to get into NFL. So I want to talk about the Bronco game so bad. I want to. But then again, I don't want to because I don't want to turn green. I will turn
green. You already did. Your hands are turning green.
Dude, are you paging Marcus Stewart?
Pretty much.
Shane Bone's back.
Shane Bone. Okay, so as Shrek here, I'm going to ask Shane, what happened? What happened there?
Well, it's very simple, guys. I sent only 3. I dropped 8, and we lost the game. Obviously, I got to do a better job and all that. All right, now I'm going to take Shane Bowen's persona out of this equation, and it's going to come back to me now.
Okay.
An absolute disgrace, like in all fronts in the fourth quarter. We completely dominate the Broncos, who have a top defense in the league. We're shutting them out 19-0. And if you carry it over from those first 2 quarters and carry it over from the last 2 quarters against previous game against Philadelphia, this defense hasn't allowed any points in 5 straight quarters. So I will give Bowen credit up until that point, until the fourth quarter. But in that fourth quarter, his defensive game plan and schemes were awful. I'm sorry. Like, this is what? You're up by 2 points with, I think, 40 seconds left in the game.
Yep.
Why are we only sending 3 guys to rush for Bo Nix and dropping 8 guys in coverage and giving all of these Broncos receivers all the space and time in the world? That is unacceptable. And we said it all season long that Shane Bowen is a big problem and that he needs to go. And I will give him credit for the last 5 quarters before that, but like blowing the game that way and allowing the Broncos to score all of their points in the fourth quarter. 33 points in the fourth quarter. That is unacceptable. And and then people are going to say like, "Hey, what's your confidence level now going into the Eagles game, even though you beat them before the Broncos?" Like it's shot now because I don't trust our defensive coordinator at all. Like Shane Bowen, it was a big problem. Like Deonte Banks, you had a horrible game. Like I'm not taking it anymore. I've had enough of you. Jude McAtomney needs to be cut, and guess what? He was. But then they re-signed him to the practice squad. Why? Why? You can't miss 2 extra points in the NFL. I'm sorry. It's not college. You're not in college. You're not in high school. Otherwise, fine. It's just because you're a young kid. You are coming from I'm not even going to get into it, dude, because I've had enough of Tommy, and only now is Graham Cano finally healthy, and he's going to be starting tomorrow against the Eagles. But Mikatomney is still lurking on the practice squad. So what was the point of even signing Younghoe Koo? I'm sorry. What was the point of signing him if you're not going to use him? You're telling me that this guy Mikatomney beat Younghoe Koo in a kicking competition? If that's the case, then Koo, I can't imagine what Koo's looks like. But I can guarantee you he's not going to be missing extra points. Listen, I can understand if it was a 50-plus yard field goal. Okay, that's a tough field goal, for any NFL caliber kicker. But this is the same guy, and I'm sure you know a lot about him, Matt, because
he went to Rutgers.
He fired from Rutgers for being the kicker. His career-long field goal was 39 yards.
Yep.
We can't even kick long field goals. So if he can't hit a routine extra point and miss not once but twice, I'm sorry, get your Gaelic butt out of here. We don't want you on this team. Go ruin it for someone else. And you know what made me more frustrated was the fact that the current Packers kicker, Havrasik, whatever his name is, Giants worked him out, and they chose Mikatomney over Havrasik, who, by the way, just kicked an NFL franchise Packers record for longest field goal at 61 yards. That infuriates me to no end. And I'm so tired of this team just not finishing ball games. I know we had good wins against the Chargers and Eagles. We should have beat the Broncos because I think overall the Giants played a better game. But that fourth quarter was a disgrace defensively. And I can't believe that Shane Bowen is still the defensive coordinator of this team, because I would have thought that giving up a record 33 points in the fourth quarter would be a job killer. Apparently it's not. Because and people are going to be blaming, it's not Shane Bowen's fault. It's Brian Dable's fault because he allowed Shane Bowen to. No, I don't listen. I can understand that to some degree. It's it's no Shane's fault because he signed Jude McAtomney and allowed him. We didn't have a kicker situation. I get that part too. But you also have to look at the consistent factor about this team and the secondary not being able to close out games, as opposed to those 5 straight quarters. But that was a big testament to their defensive line, not so much as our secondary, but our defensive line was keeping us in games at that point.
Yes.
The secondary was the problem, and Deonte Banks has been horrible. Cordell Flott, I think should be starting over him. Because guess what? Cordell Flott, I think, is first in the league in not allowing a ton of he hasn't allowed a single touchdown so far this season.
Yeah, he's been really solid. He
He's
even
been
got
really
pick
good.
in that
So
Eagles
start
game.
him
Yeah.
over. Yeah, so start him over because we know that for tomorrow, Paulson Adebo's hurt. Javon Holland is hurt. Brian Burns is questionable, but I think he said he's going to be good to go. And Graham Gano is questionable, but he already said he's going to be good to go. So you have guys in the secondary have got to step up. And I haven't liked Tyler Nubin. Drew Phillips, I think, has been playing great all season, but I think you got to get Flott more reps in there as opposed to Banks because I do not trust Banks right now. But that is disgraceful. I'm done.
All right. So one thing I want to say right now is the fact that the Giants had a really good effort. They've been playing games, but this is the second game they've lost this year where they should have won a game against a really good team and then dropped the ball because of defense. And this is also the second time. Third time. What was the other time?
Cowboys, Saints, Broncos.
The Saints game. Yeah, that's right. But you want to know here's what kills me, okay? The Cowboy game and the Bronco game kind of go hand in hand because we led in both those games. We had a good lead, and then all of a sudden it all comes crashing down because of bad defense. And this was also the second game where Shane Bowen got chewed out by Brian Dable in the locker room and deserved to get his comeuppance because you want to know why? We shouldn't be losing 19-0 leads, especially when we have it in Mile High. That's a tough place to play, and we blew it. And to me, it's just mind-boggling to me. And I love the fact that they were showing videos of Brian Burns going ape crap in the locker room on the way back into the tunnel because it just shows this Giants team, they want to compete. They want to play hard. But you want what the problem is? They're not fully coached appropriately. I think Mike Kafka's done a great job as offensive coordinator handling Jackson Dart and Cam Scotty the way he has.
Yeah.
I give Mike Kafka credit. Shane Bowen has been a disaster. He's been an absolute, utter disaster. And you know what the problem is with me? I can't stand it when we have defensive incompetence because defense has been the Giants' specialty historically throughout their history. And this is their 100th season. Your pass rush is killing it. Your secondary is killing you.
Oh, by the way, real quick, on that play where Bowen sent 3 and dropped 8, Dexter Lawrence, what was on the field?
Oh, right.
Wasn't on the field.
Inexcusable.
Inexcusable. I'm sorry. Can't happen. It's just absolute garbage.
Just bad play calling, bad scheming, bad.
If we clean up a few things here and there, this team could have been 5-2. Think about that for a second. 5-2, the Giants. If we didn't have 4 straight penalties against the Cowboys, if we didn't turn the ball over 4 times against the Saints, and if we had a better defensive scheme and actually had a kicker that could kick extra points, we're 5-2. But the one good thing I will say is after that Broncos game, I think that Jackson Dart is the guy, is the quarterback
I agree.
for the franchise. Because even though in defeat, and I know he had the one interception, listen, like he's going to learn from that. He's going to get better. It was just a little bit underthrown. I saw the interception, but like he was beating himself over. He said it's unacceptable. And listen, don't be too hard on yourself. I get it. But Dart has done everything you could ask of him. As a Giants fan, if you're Brian Dable, he's done everything you could ask of him. So I think he'll be fine. But I don't trust our defensive coordinator, and I don't trust our current kicking situation right now because and by the way, how many times have the Giants lost to last second field goals? How many times? 6?
Twice.
Countless. Only this team. Only the Giants. I'm sick and tired of it.
Yeah, it's disgraceful. It's actually kind of embarrassing. And it's also frustrating because you see the prod getting better.
Yeah.
You see the pride. But you want them to put it together. All right. We got to get to fresh breads because we are approaching that time now where we got to get to fresh pound and fries. So we're going to get to fresh breads. You ready? Torcios, let's build it. So, oh my God, fresh breads. Oh, here we go.
All right.
Okay, we're going to get into these games really quick because we got to get into fresh pound and fried, and then we got to conclude the show because I got to get myself green face painted for a said Halloween party. All right. Are y'all ready?
All right.
Let's go.
Lightning round, I guess.
Lightning round. We're going to do a lightning round. Okay. So, let me just pull the scores up here. Okay, here we go. We got the Dolphins and the Falcons. Falcons -7. Kev, we're going to start with you.
Falcons easily cover.
Falcons to cover. Alec.
Falcons 2.
All right, John, you still there?
Yeah, Falcons, Kirk Cousins, prime time, all the way, baby.
Okay, awesome. I'm going to go with the Falcons as well, -7. All right, Next up, we got the Jets at the Bengals. Bengals minus 6.5. Kev.
Bengals easily win because I know that Justin Fields is playing, but Bengals, even with Joe Flacco, I mean, I think the old man still got it in him. Bengals win easily.
Okay, Alec.
Bengals, yes. And I'll add Aaron Glenn, one and done. Guarantee.
Ooh! With a guarantee. John.
I picked up the Bengals defense because Justin Fields is back on playing quarterback. So bring on the Bengals.
Bring on the 0-8 start. I'm going with the Bengals. Next up, we got the Cleveland Browns at the New England Patriots. Patriots minus 7. Kev.
Patriots win, easily cover, probably win by a couple touchdowns. Browns, I know they have a good defense against the rush, and Patriots, I think their running situation is a bit confusing, and they're not giving Henderson enough carries and enough opportunities. But the Patriots offense with Drake May and Stephon Diggs, I think, should be eating against that Browns secondary. So Patriots should be winning quite easily.
Okay, fair. Alec?
Drake? Patriots.
Patriots. All right, John.
Patriots. I think Cleveland gives Drake a little trouble on the pass rush, which means that the Patriots are going to have to get their ground game working a little bit, and they haven't done that yet. But I definitely like the Patriots.
I like the Patriots too. I'm going to take the minus 7. All right, next up, we got a really interesting one. We got the Bills coming off of bye at the Carolina Panthers. Bills minus 7. Kev?
I say Bills win this, and but they barely cover. I do think Panthers could possibly surprise them a little bit if the Bills let them late in the game. But I think Bills should have a second wind in the second half, and they should be able to pull away from this one and win.
All right, Alec?
Bills win and cover. They should get their stuff together after the bye. If Carolina covers, the alarm bells are officially on in Buffalo.
John?
They benched Bryce, didn't they?
I believe Bryce is.
I think he's hurt.
Bryce is hurt. Yeah. Bryce is questionable with an injury.
I think Dalton.
So I think this is going to be a really interesting Andy Dalton game.
Yeah.
But I'm going to have to go with the Bills. I think this is a James Cook game.
Okay. Panthers plus 7. I'll go with the Bills minus 7. Psych. Anyway. Bears at Ravens. Ravens minus 2. No Lamar Jackson. Kev?
Boy, how the mighty have fallen in the Baltimore Ravens. That Lamar injury just absolutely derailed their entire season, hasn't it? But the Bears, I think they should win this one. I think they do cover that 2.5-point spread. And also, we keep mentioning it, Ben Johnson. What a job he's been doing in his first
really good job
season as a head coach for the Bears. I think he's completely changed the culture. And I do think that the Bears should be doing fine against the Ravens. But the Ravens, this season is donezo as far as I'm concerned, if Lamar is not healthy soon. So I think Bears should win this one and go 5-2.
Gonna take a miracle. Alec?
No Lamar. That means the Ravens lose.
All right. John?
I don't think the Ravens are done, but the Ravens are definitely a different team without Lamar. It'll be really interesting to see what Dalvin. No, not Dalvin.
Henry?
Who's the running? Yeah, it'll be really interesting to see what Henry does. But the Bears defense is surprisingly one of the best turnover teams so far this season.
Mm-hmm.
And against Tyler Huntley, I think, who's going to be the starter, I'm going to have to say this is a Bears game and the breakout game for Colson Loveland.
I like that. That's a good one. Colson Loveland's been having a pretty good year. All right, Bears plus 2, no doubt about it. Ravens, I don't feel the rush, and I don't feel Tyler Huntley either. And I think if the Ravens do go into free fall mode, I think John Harbaugh is going to start getting some questions.
He should have been.
I think there's going to be starting to have some questions in Baltimore about their head coach. Next up, we got the Niners at the Texans. Texans minus 2. No Nico Collins, no Christian Kirk, and once again, Mac Jones is starting for the 49ers. Kev?
I got the Niners in this one, and I think it's been proven at this point that Mac Jones has played better than Brock Purdy whenever Brock Purdy is healthy. But I think the Niners, I think at least what I've seen, I think Mac Jones has played better overall than Brock Purdy, especially in the games that he's starting. And against the Texans got a solid defense, and I know that they're banged up offensively, but I think they could make it a closer game than many of us expected. But I do think the Niners win, but they should barely cover there.
All right, Alec.
It is week 16. The 49ers are down to their fourth string wideout and their third string tight end. They're down multiple offensive linemen and multiple defenders. They are somehow in contention for the NFC West. 49ers.
Okay. John.
I think this is a trap game. I watched Houston play Monday night against the Seahawks. And, I think this is going to be a Dalton Schultz game. I think you're going to see surprise out of the Texans. I like the Texans here. I think the 49ers just can't keep winning games as wounded as they are.
I'm going to go with the Niners. I think the Texans are banged up. And actually, Mac Jones, I love this second chance that he's getting with the Niners. And I think this also proves to you how big of an influence Kyle Shanahan is to quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Look at what he did to Sam Darnold. Look at what he's doing with Mac Jones.
Mm-hmm.
List goes on and on. Like, seriously. Next up, we're going to end the 1 o'clock games with the Giants at the Eagles. Eagles minus 7.5. A.J. Brown to miss tomorrow's game. Kev?
Well, obviously, A.J. Brown getting hurt is a big plus for the Giants, but also the way I felt after last game, like I don't trust our defense or our defensive coordinator. But I tell you what I do trust. I trust Dart. I trust Scadaboo. I trust our offensive line. I trust our defensive line. It's our secondary and our kicking situation that I don't trust. But if Gano is healthy and he's ready to go, he can actually kick extra points and he can actually kick long field goals if we need it. And we don't have to go for 2-point conversions. I think Giants could win this because they have beaten them before. They crushed the Eagles, in fact, the last time they faced them a couple games ago. But in Philly, it's definitely going to be a hostile environment and crowd. But I expect the Eagles to play furious. I expect the Giants to play furious as well. And even though they frustrated me last game, I still think the Giants can win this game. I think Giants win.
Okay, fair. Alec?
This is more get-right games for both of these two teams. The Giants, they did show some positive flashes despite the collapse last week, but because that game proved Jackson Dart is the guy. The Eagles have had many chances to get right, but
yes, it did.
It every time, no matter how many times their defense bails them out. Kevin Patullo's a hack. Nick Sirianni's a hack. They waste all their talent, and for what? And if you flounder again, this plays right into the Giants' hands, despite how questionable the defense is. The offensive line's improved, wideouts improved, quarterback plays improved, running back plays improved. All it takes is utilization. In Philly, it's going to come down to a last-second field goal, and you know what? I'm going with Kev here. Giants.
Woo! John.
I don't like the words last-second field goal there, Alec. That doesn't bode well.
I don't like those words either. John.
I think this is a Mike Gesicki game. I think you actually see Saquon Barkley run a little bit more than he has. I like Philadelphia.
I hate to say this. Fly Eagles fly minus 7.5. I'm taking it. I'm sorry, Kev. I just had to do it.
That's fine. I understand. I get it.
Okay, now we're going to go to the 4 o'clock sites. We have 5 games left. Bucks at Saints. Bucks minus 3.5. No Mike Evans for quite a while, Kev.
Even without Mike Evans, I still think Bucks should be winning this game and covering pretty easily. Saints, they're overall a bad team, but they have shown some good flashes here and there. I think Kellen Moore, has done better than what the record indicates, but I do think Bucks should still win this.
Okay, Alec.
Bucks win. Saints keep it within a score, and what I mean by a score is within a touchdown, not by a field goal.
Okay, John.
No Bucky either, I'm pretty sure.
No Bucky
but
I
still think the Bucks win.
I think the Bucks win and cover. Next up, we got a highly anticipated game between the Cowboys at the Denver Broncos. Broncos minus 3.5. Kev?
Now, I know John said this earlier about one of the games for Niners and Texans. I think this is possibly a trap game for Denver, to be perfectly honest with you, because I know the Cowboys, their rushing defense is obviously not as good without Micah Parsons. So I think guys like J.K. Dobbins and R.J. Harvey should be eating in that front. But their secondary is questionable at best, but their offense is still very good. So, and against a tough Broncos secondary, and keep in mind, this is the same Broncos secondary that gave up 19 points to the Giants whenever they versed them last week. And Broncos, I'm sure they're riding high after that. And the Cowboys are probably going to be playing very ferocious against them as well. So I could realistically see the Cowboys pulling off an upset here, but I'm not going to say they're going to win. But I'm going to say the Broncos win, but I don't think they cover. I do think the Cowboys make it close, and I do think they can possibly upset them. But I think the Broncos win here.
Okay, Alec.
Stan Marsh has to be feeling a little bit uncomfortable after last week, but because that was the epitome of a heart attack for Broncos fans. But here, it could be a turnaround for both the Broncos and the Cowboys, but Mile High is one of the toughest places to play in. It is Mile High.
It is.
Broncos win, but Cowboys cover.
All right, John.
What's the spread?
3.5 Denver.
Oh, that's easily Denver.
All right, I'm going to say the Broncos as well because I hate the Cowboys. Next up, we got the biggest spread of the week by a country mile. We got the Titans at the Colts. Colts minus 14 at the fine Daniel Jones's. Kev?
Yeah, Colts, I think, should easily cover that spread. I think they win by like 24 points in that regard. Titans are garbage. And Colts, like, they're one of the biggest surprises this year. I do expect all their best playmakers to have a good number, so I say Colts easily.
All right, Alec?
I should be singing a song, but given what I'm wearing, I cannot right now. But you probably know where I'm going.
Okay, you're going with the Colts. John?
This is tough to me. It's a division game. You're going to get the coach firing bounce. I like the. I can't. I'm going to have to take the points. I like the Colts to win, but I don't think they win. I think they win by 10.
Wow, so you're saying Tennessee covers. Wow. I'm going to say 14.5. I'm going to take the Colts. It's just too much to pass on. Next up, we got the Aaron Rodgers revenge game. We got the Green Bay Packers at the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think it's the Steelers favored by 3. The Packers are favored by 3. Packers by 3. Kev?
This one's close. I mean, like Packers, they've shown that they can definitely be a top team in the NFC, and the Steelers with Aaron Rodgers, they look like a really good offense. It's going to be really close. Sorry, Alec. I think I'm going to pick Packers here. I think they barely cover and win by 3.
All right, Alec, what do you have to say?
Get right game for both teams. Packers look sluggish against Arizona, teams that they were expected to crush. They barely squeaked that one out. Us, another get right game because we were in a back and forth shootout against the Bengals. So part of me was not surprised we lost to the Bengals, given that we were up against Joe Flacco, who knows us so well. The Packers, though, Aaron Rodgers knows them so well. And, of course, you mentioned a revenge game, Mark, but this is also a get-right game for our secondary. Most expensive defensive football, we had trouble against Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. To be fair, it's Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. Everyone has trouble against them. But to this extent, yeesh. More alarming is against the run. And we're up against Josh Jacobs. So I think this is going to be a Josh Jacobs type game. But also, it's going to be an Aaron Rodgers game with the way I see things. It's going to be back and forth, but it's going to come down to Chris Boswell's leg. You know what? Here we go, Steelers.
All right. And you're probably going to be playing Renegade somewhere. John?
I don't think this is a question at all from minute 1 to the end. I like the Packers.
Packers. I'm going Green Bay as well. Go, Pack, go. Last but certainly not least, we got Monday Night Football. We got the Marcus Mariota-led Commanders at the Kansas City Chiefs in Arrowhead. Chiefs are 11.5-point favorite. Kev?
Yeah, with Jaden Daniels out and Marcus Mariota in, I think that kind of sways the favors of the Commanders in that case. So Chiefs, I think they win, but I don't think that they cover. I think Commanders, even though that Mariota is the quarterback, I think Commanders make it closer than what the spread indicates.
All right, Alec.
A bad season for Washington has just gotten worse than Jaden Daniels' injury. I mean, sensational rookie year. Injured year 2. You have to hope that this doesn't become RG3 all over again.
Dude, I was just going to say the same thing, John.
Wow.
Ugh.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird to me that they paid Scary Terry and he hasn't actually played much at all this season.
Not really,
and Debo, I think, is playing, but he's been the lone soldier as far as wide receivers go.
Yep.
I'm going to take the 11. I'm going to take the Commanders to cover.
John's going big with the dogs today.
Well, I'm saying Chiefs win and cover on here.
Okay. I'm going to say the Chiefs win and cover. 11.5 is a big spread, but I think they can make it work. All right. Last but certainly not least, we got Fresh Fun or Friday. We got 10 minutes left in the show. This is the segment where it's considered one of my favorites, where one of us goes off on a 2-minute vent, 2.5-minute vent, whatever's on their mind. And at the end of your vent, we rate you on a scale of fresh, fine, or fried. Fresh meaning good, fine meaning okay, or fried meaning you're wickedly bad. And I'm agreeing with Envy in the fact that you said something so bad. Alex is on the hot seat today. Alex, 2.5 minutes. Are you ready?
Yes.
Go.
So earlier this month, we were talking in the conversation about Michael McLeod, Carter Hart, where they're going to sign at. Well, they were reportedly on the conversation with Carolina, and thank goodness Carolina did not pick them up. But then one team just goes onto the site to pick up Carter Hart on a PTO and then convert that to a 2-year, $2 million per contract when he was one of the members of the Hockey Canada 5 in which he were accused of sexual assault. Well, they were allowed to walk free as they were found not guilty. And once again, it's not the same as innocent because just because they were named found not guilty doesn't mean that they are completely innocent. I named out some of the statistics in a previous Fresh Finer Fright I did. But the fact that Vegas, they of all teams to go and sign someone of this name, that's disgraceful to all extents. And it shows a messed up picture right on the justice system that it shows, especially since another justice system and everyone else vilified Kyron Lacey, who took his own life for something because of something that he didn't do, a crime he never committed. Carter Hart committed said crime, so how is he still playing around? Lacey, on the other hand, should still be alive, but he got guilt-tripped into taking his own life because of the vilification towards him. Carter Hart is easily in the wrong in this conversation, especially given the context of what it is. EM has to live with her trauma for the rest of her life. Hart says that he's moved on for the matter, but EM will never get to move on from this incident that has portrayed her. And Vegas, the very same team that drafted Trevor Connolly, who is facing accusations of racism, they have to be looked at with more scrutiny with how they handle matters. The fact that teammates and coaches are out here defending Carter Hart, Vegas should be looked at as the villains of the NHL. They've officially passed the Edmonton Oilers for that title and even the Toronto Maple Leafs. Sorry, it has to be said, but Vegas is easily the villains of the NHL. There's no close second at all.
And that is a way to end it. Kevin, fresh, fine, or fried?
Oh, it's absolutely fresh, and I completely agree. Like having either of those guys, Carter Hart, Michael McLeod, or what have you, still being allowed to play in this league is absolutely disgraceful. I know, like Michael McLeod, he's still playing hockey, but like he's in Russia or whatever, right, or something like. Yeah. So like I think even playing hockey in any capacity, those guys should not be playing. It's absolutely disgraceful, and I think like we talk about like how. Even the Cleveland Browns, like they still have guys who are criminals still playing for them. Deshaun Watson was still playing with them, and when they signed Kareem Hunt and gave him a second chance, which he's lucky he has, and he's with the Chiefs right now in his second stint. But like the Vegas Golden Knights have become that for like signing a guy like Carter Hart. So absolutely fresh.
All right, John, fresh, fine, or fried?
I like it. It's definitely fresh for me. You have athletes who think they're above the law and they get away with it and they keep playing in every league. And in Vegas is the one where, they have, a couple players that are that. So the microscope is a little bit more magnified on that team. Should they be playing? Absolutely not. Are they playing? Are they getting paid? Absolutely. It's just an issue that needs to be thought about, in our culture as far as pro sports goes, all the way across the board, not just hockey.
Yeah, it's a damning testament to hockey culture.
Yeah, fresh as well. I don't know if any of you are aware of this, but almost half of the athletes who play in professional sports are convicted felons, and it actually is kind of a sickening statistic because if you commit a crime, whether it be assault or battery or whatever, or what have you. Like, you should be held accountable, and you should not be allowed to play in that competitive sport ever again. Ever. You want to know why? Because it's integrity. We talked about integrity with the gambling stuff earlier today. This is integrity, and also just a look of professionalism. Do you think I want like someone who commits sexual assault on my hockey team? Absolutely not.
Yeah, it's more serious than gambling. And
Yes,
if gambling is a years-long suspension, sexual assault is a life suspension.
Yeah,
agreed. And I think that we have to figure out like a sort of gray area across all sports, because we've seen Major League Baseball. Look at what happened with Trevor Bauer. Look at what, and then Johnny Manziel. Look at those two guys, how their careers ended with because of sexual assault allegations. The NHL does not handle sexual assault well, and I think they need to put their foot on the gas as far as handling things better, and they don't. And I think that's the main issue I have with the NHL. They have great players, the product is growing, but this is just a big bruise on their record.
You forgot Wander Franco thrown in there too for
Wander Franco, that's right. I forgot about that.
Yes.
It's just so mean. It's just so bad and so pitiful. Okay. With that, Fresh Founder Friday has concluded. Now we're going to get into My Camp Solutions. If you don't know who My Camp Solutions is, it's a credit card company, wholesale credit card company in Arizona. Our friend Ryan. Thank you, Ryan, for supporting us. If you need a good credit card company that does not offer interest rates without signing a long-term contract, this is the place for you. If you want to know more, here's me being a boxer for a good minute and a half.
Hey, I'm Matt Sirianni, and I'm a quarter of Foursquare Sports. And if you don't know me by now, I'm all about Octagon Payments and My Camp Solutions. My Camp Solutions is the only wholesale credit card company that will give you amazing processing rates without signing a long-term contract. And along with outstanding customer service, this company is a betting favorite against anyone you put in front of them. So sign up today. Go to www.mycampsolutions.com or www.octagonpayments.com and apply now. My Camp Solutions. It's a first-round knockout.
Every time I see that ad, I just gotta give myself a pat on the back. Every time I do. Okay. So in the spirit of Halloween, the last thing we're gonna do, little quotes based on the people that we're dressed up as. And I can only imagine the quote that one John Welch could say right now. John, what's your quote?
My quote as myself?
Yes.
Why am I even here? No.
Damn. All right. Kevin, what would Shane Bowen say?
I shouldn't have dropped 8.
All right. Alec, Harry Potter.
Time will not slow down when something unpleasant lies ahead.
Okay. I can only go with one quote. Don't care. Onions have layers. Ogres have layers. And for those of you who don't know, I'm dressing up as Shrek for Halloween. Sammy's upstairs. She's Fiona for Halloween, so I can only imagine how that's going to go. But anyways, from Kevin, Alec, John, I'm Matt Sirianni. God bless you all for this Halloween-themed edition of Foursquare Sports, I guess you could say. We will be back next week, and we can't wait to see it. This has been Foursquare Sports, which is sports at score. Take care, everybody. Happy Halloween.
Hi, everybody. Christopher Mad Dog Russo here. And you know what I do? Foursquare Sports on Sunday nights, 6 to 8, with all those parts of the country taken care of. Listen all the time. You got it. Mad Dog on Mad Dog Unleashed. Listen to my guys. Listen to my guys.